Hello YouTube, I have my Canada Dry. It's black cherry flavored. Let's chat. So today what I want to talk to you guys all about is one of my favorite topics, and that is hobbies. So I think hobbies are super duper important if you are a human being. Insert Nicki Minaj gif here. Basically, I think that hobbies are really important, especially if you are someone who doesn't work in a creative field and doesn't have that kind of creative outlet. I think that if you don't have hobbies, you can quickly become a drone and you become boring and you don't have an outlet for that inner spark. So eventually, if you stop fanning the spark, it goes out and you become boring. So I am going to be starting my first full-time position next year. I'm going to go out into the workforce and be an adult, be independent. And one thing I've really started to realize is if you are someone who works full-time or goes to school full-time or something along those lines, and you don't feel that fulfillment from just doing that alone, which eventually you'll probably stop feeling that fulfillment from just work or just school, and you'll want to be a well-rounded person. Congratulations. I would recommend finding a hobby. So one of the reasons why I think hobbies are really, really important, especially in today's day and age, is because I think that a lot of people without hobbies fall into a really consumptive mindset. So they're always consuming. So you might be thinking to yourself, Shayna, I have a hobby. After I get home from my 10-hour shift at Buffalo Wild Wings, I scroll on Instagram for 3 hours, and then I watch Vanderpump Rules, and then I scroll on Instagram until I fall asleep, or I read Twitter, or whatever. All those things are fun. Love me some Vanderpump Rules. Love me some scrolling. I do it a lot. But the truth is, I think after repeating this cycle, you really start to feel like a piece of... No, I shouldn't say that. You really start to feel like, wow, is this all there is? You know, life's a bitch and then you die. I think that picking up a hobby is something that can really transform your life. It can give your life new meaning. It can introduce you to new people. It can bring a community to you. And overall, it really makes you feel better about yourself. It just makes you feel like an adult, someone who's doing something interesting with their time. So how do you find a hobby, or what do you do if you feel like you have no skills and you have nothing interesting or worthwhile to kind of delve into? I would say stop making excuses. Stop making excuses. Go to Michael's, go to a craft store, and just pick up some stuff. Pick up some Crayolas. Pick up an old camera. Pick up your phone. Start taking pictures. And really just like challenge yourself to do something more interesting with your time than scrolling through other people's. What is a hobby? What am I talking about? If it's not scrolling on Instagram and it's not watching TV shows, what is it? So a hobby is something that you do solely for yourself because you think it improves you physically, spiritually, mentally, cognitively, something like that. And generally, my general rule of thumb is if you are creating something, if there's a finished product at the end of some sort, then it can be a hobby. So this includes painting, coloring, exercise can be a hobby. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Writing, reading, we'll talk about reading. And generally just anything creative, anything you can do with your hands, skateboarding, playing some sort of sport, sewing, knitting, crocheting, anything like that, something that's a creative outlet for you. I love yoga. I think that it improves my life in terms of creating a habit for me that I can stick to. It makes me mindful. It makes me aware of my physical self. It takes my mind off of anxiety-inducing things. So an important aspect of a hobby that's really going to enrich your life and make your life better is something that has kind of a challenging component to it. So something that involves developing a skill, something that involves you improving over time. So it kind of gives you that incentive to keep going, to do it repeatedly, to do it every day, to do it on a consistent schedule. So like a yoga practice for me, or a drawing practice or something like that, it's something that you improve and you can watch yourself grow from, a beginner to a more advanced whatever it is. And so it kind of really fulfills you, and it gives you that sense of, yes, I can do this. I can elevate my status and make myself whatever I want to be. Whatever I want to do, I can do it. So if you're like me, it might be difficult for you to see yourself really committing to one hobby and saying, yes, I am going to be a yoga person. I am going to be a drawing person. I am going to crochet. And so what I would encourage you to do, if none of these things really feel like your community, that's because they aren't yet. And you are still kind of dipping your toe in a bunch of different experiences, which is really cool. For me, how I got myself to really start doing things like creating YouTube videos, for example, is I told myself, just do it once. Just try it, commit to it that one time and see what happens. And if you are someone who has a difficult time motivating yourself, I have recently taken up bullet journaling, another hobby, I suppose. And one really great thing is to set your intention for the day and include a hobby in there. Maybe between work, if you're working from home especially, you can say, take a break and crochet, take a break and skateboard, take a break and ride my bike. By incorporating a hobby into your routine, you'll be able to look forward to it. You'll develop some consistency in your life, and the routine really makes you feel good and accomplished about yourself. At the end of the day, you can say, well, it wasn't an amazing day. I didn't have a great workout session, but at least I got the workout in. And working out can be a hobby as long as you enjoy it, as long as you find a form of exercise that you really, really enjoy. And I think that is a similar thing with reading. I think that if you invest in reading a certain number of books a month, and you really challenge yourself to read actively, to read for a certain amount each day, I think that the regimented approach to reading, for example, is something that changes it from just like a leisurely activity into something that is more of a hobby, something that you can find a community within and you can grow within. I think that a huge component is a hobby as an act of self-growth, of productivity for just who you are as a person. Another important component of developing a habit and a hobby and sticking to it is to tell people around you what you're doing, to post a picture of it on Snapchat. And the important part about this is not that people see it, it's more that you are saying to the world, yes, this is something I do. I am a human being, and sometimes I draw things. And it can be very empowering, and it can make you really look forward to creating something because you have this finished product, right? It's something that you can share, and something that hopefully supportive people in your life will say, yes, you rock, keep it going. And truthfully, without a hobby, without something you invest your time in for yourself, for your own enjoyment and growth, you can be boring. That is something that I've really learned about being a teenager versus being an adult and growing up and becoming an individual who is well-rounded, is you have more time to invest in yourself. And if you aren't doing it and you are spending that time consuming instead of creating, instead of giving yourself an outlet, then you are really cheating yourself out of some really amazing experiences. So finally, I think the most important part or aspect of creating and committing to a hobby is to not be afraid to finish things. And this is something that you might relate to, but for me, I always start projects and I have a tough time finishing them because I find disappointment along the way. I find it's not looking exactly how I imagine it. And so I give up halfway through, and it leads me to feel bad about myself, right? Don't do that. It's as simple as that. Don't do it. Girl, Canada Dry. No spawns. But yeah, really commit and push yourself to finish things. I think that's one of the biggest things that hobbies will teach you, is that having a shitty finished product is always better than having a pretty good half-finished product. And if you push yourself to really finish whatever you start, it's something that's very empowering. It can lead to, it can lead you to take that final step in your life, to move forward, to push past all of your expectations and all of your self-doubt, and really just grow into someone powerful and cool. If you want to transform something that you already do in your day-to-day life into something that's more of a hobby, for example, if you really enjoy doing your makeup, but you wouldn't consider it a hobby, I would really recommend creating kind of a platform for yourself. So this is where social media does come into play. If you really enjoy doing makeup, like I've said, that example, I'll roll with it. Film yourself doing some tutorials. Challenge yourself to follow along with different tutorials. Challenge yourself. I think that's like the main component. So challenge yourself to find the things that you already like, to find the things that you're already interested in, and really expand on them, and really focus your attention in and set an intention for yourself. Like I was saying before, I think that everybody wants to feel good about themselves and wants to feel productive and do something more interesting with their time than scroll through social media. But I think that a lot of people feel that they don't have the time to do it, when in reality they are already using that time and investing it in some way that they want, but just not in a productive necessarily. That sparks your interest, and you need to take that and channel it into something that is valuable in your life, because that is how we become interesting and passionate people, is we take things that already spark our interest, already make our heart skip a beat, and then we really pour time and energy and love into that thing, and it shines back on you and it reflects positively on you, and suddenly you are an interesting person who has interests and hobbies, and you are more than just a drone, and you are leading a more fulfilling and interesting life. It will attract people into your life who are passionate and ambitious as well. And so you'll stop hanging around the bums and the scrubs, and you'll start hanging around some cool people who are producing some interesting things and doing interesting things with their time and their lives. And who doesn't want to attract that kind of positive energy and excitement into their own life? So thank you guys for joining me today. I hope I have inspired you at least a little bit to look into investing some time into yourself and putting something out there into the world, instead of just taking in all of the creative stuff other people are doing. Take charge. Do something fun. Do something you can be proud of. Do something that you can take a picture of and send to your mom. She wants to hear from you. And I really hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Like and comment and subscribe if this is the kind of content you like, or if you like me, or if you're interested in hearing from me ever again. That was a threat. Bye, guys. So now I'm just going to list off some hobbies that you may or may not have ever thought about.
Fishing, hiking, camping, reading, writing poetry, writing fan fiction, writing short stories, not writing tweets. Singing, dancing, yoga, Zumba, hit, spin, cooking, making jewelry, pottery, ceramics, coloring in a coloring book, crossword puzzles, biking, walking, training your dog, makeup, hair, woodworking, whittling, any sort of music. No, any sort of musical instrument. Yes. Learning language, gardening, golfing, any sort of sport you do for fun. Doing nails. I do nails. That's fun. Journaling. Bullet journaling. That's fun. Making YouTube videos. That's right, baby. Roller skating.